Nervous system, it's the control and communication center of the body. What does it mean, control and communication center of the body? It means that everything in your body is controlled by your nervous system, by your brain. It means that when your muscles, they are contracting, it's not just contraction of the muscles pumping and that's it, no. There are some nerves, they go out from your brain to send impulse to this muscle to give it the action to contract. Same for your hormones or glands. Your hormones and glands, they are not just secreting on their own and that's it. So all your glands, they are also controlled by your nervous system. Same as the muscles. Nerves, they go out of the brain, they go to this gland, like thyroid gland, they stimulate this gland to secrete hormone. So everything in your body is controlled by the nervous system. So for your sensation, it's the opposite. For the sensation, for tasting, hearing, okay? For understanding, smelling, all these kind of things, it's different. You have some cells, for example, for tasting. You have some cells in your tongue, they get activated when you are eating something. They send the nerve to the brain, and now you can understand this is sweet, this is sour, this is salty. So it means that we have two types of nerves. I have some nerves, they carry sensation. How? They go to the brain to be translated. Now you can understand what you are tasting, what you are hearing, what you are smelling. But for the other types of nerves, they are called motor nerves. They are related more to muscles and glands. It's the opposite. The nerves go out of the brain to stimulate the muscle or the gland to either contract or secrete. So again, I have two types of nerves. One for sensation. For the sensation, they collect themselves from the body, they go to the brain so it can be translated and you can understand the sensation. For the motor, they are going out of the brain to go to the muscle or the gland to stimulate it to contract or secrete hormone. Okay? So this is for the nervous system. Again, like we said, the nervous system is the control and communication center of the body. It means it needs to go to the brain to be translated, or some other nerves, they go out of the brain to stimulate something, to stimulate a muscle, to stimulate a gland. Okay? So of course, as you know, in the nervous system, the main unit is the brain. So the brain is the main unit that controls the nervous system. Like you can see, page 108, for the nervous system, you have two divisions. One is the central nervous system, and the other is called peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system is everything you can see in the middle. So it's the brain and the spinal cord. Peripheral nervous system is all the terminal branches or the fibers that go out of the brain and the spinal cord. So again, I have two divisions for the nervous system: central nervous system or peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system is everything in the middle of the body, brain and spinal cord. Peripheral nervous system is all the branches or the fibers that go out of the brain and the spinal cord. Okay? So any questions so far? So far we said what's the nervous system, control and communication center of the body, and then we said that for the nervous system I have two divisions. One is the central nervous system in the middle, brain and spinal cord, and the other is the peripheral nervous system. It's all the nerves that go out of the brain and the spinal cord.
So those nerves on ribs, they are central or peripheral?
Peripheral.
And only this?
Only brain and spinal cord, this is central. Everything else, the nerve that goes to your finger, it's peripheral. The nerves that go to your six-pack muscle, it's peripheral. The nerve that goes to your knee, it's peripheral. Okay? Any questions so far? True or false? The nervous system has two divisions.
True.
True?
True.
True. What is the main unit of the nervous system? Brain. Okay. Next, page 109, you have the structure of the nervous system. What does it mean, structure? Structure, it's what the nervous system is made of. So for the nervous system, it's made of two things. The first thing is called nerve cells, or the other name of it is neurons. And the second thing that makes the nervous system is called neuroglia. Again, what is the structure of the nervous system? Nerve cells or neurons and neuroglia. What are the nerve cells or the neurons? The nerve cells or the neurons, those are the structures that transmit signals or impulses in your nervous system. So transmit signals. For the neuroglia, they only support your neurons or your nerve cells. They don't transmit signals. Same as when you have your phone, you want to protect your phone, you will put a screen protector and a cover to protect it. For your nerve cells also, they need a support or protection. This is the support of your nerve cells or neurons. Neuroglia. Okay? Remember before when we said if you take any part of your body and you look under the microscope, it's made of what? Cells, right? So the smallest unit in your body, what you see under the microscope, it's called cells. So the cells, they had a basic structure. How the cells, they look like under the microscope? They look like this. They have cell membrane and they have nucleus. What is the nucleus? Nucleus is the president of your cell. It's responsible for the reproduction of your cells. It's responsible for the growth of the cells. It's responsible for the repair of the cells, okay? For the nerve cells or the neurons, they have a different shape. So they don't look like this. How they look like? They look like this. They are star-shaped cells. Why they are different? They are not just like any cell in your body. Because for your nervous system, it has a very different function. It's transmitting signals, sensation, contraction, okay? So a lot of other functions. That's why it doesn't have the same shape of all your cells, it has a different shape. So if you take a part of your brain or spinal cord or your nerves, you look under the microscope, the cells will look like a star-shaped cells. So you will find some branches or fibers like this, and some other fibers like this. So this is how the nerve cell or neurons look like under the microscope. So now we want to discuss every part of this cell, what's the name of it, and what's the function of it, okay? So if I take a part of my brain and I will look under the microscope, of course it's not made of one nerve cell, right? It's millions of nerve cells. So you will find under the microscope, the nerve cells, they are like this. When one will finish, another one will start. Millions of nerve cells, okay? So for the first structure in your nerve cell, it's the center part. This part is called cell body. So the part that has the nucleus, it's called what? Cell body. The center is called cell body. Like you can see, some branches, they come out of the cell body. These branches are called dendrites. Okay? And then you have one long branch here. This is called axon. You will find this page 109. Okay, not 110, 109. You are opening 110. The last part here, like the roots of the tree, this is called axon terminal. Around the axon, we have a protection. It looks like this. Like you can see here, I have a white part and I have this black part. The white part inside and the black part outside. The white part is called myelin sheath. It's a protection for the axon. You know, sometimes when people get injuries, accidents, or they break an arm and maybe they will put the cast in the wrong way, sometimes what's happening? Only the myelin sheath will be cut in the nerve because of the blow or the injury or the accident. Only the myelin sheath will be cut or damaged. So if only the myelin sheath will be damaged, the recovery of this nerve will be better. The person will start moving the arm or the leg or whatever better or faster. But if the injury reach the axon, the recovery rate is 1 millimeter per year. So imagine how slow the recovery will be. Okay, that's why the axon has a protection. Because like we said, what is a nerve cell? Nerve cell is the smallest thing in your body. So like we said, if I take part of my nerve or I take part of the brain or the spinal cord, I will look under the microscope, it's millions of nerve cells. Okay? So again, the axon has a protection. It's called myelin sheath, the white part. What about the black part that looks like a bracket? This black part is called neurolemma. You will find this in the book, page 109. Everything is written. I'm just explaining for you in an easier way. Next, as you see here, that the myelin sheath, it's not only one block and that's it. You will see there is gap between each and every myelin sheath. So they are not only one block, no. One myelin sheath, then there is a gap, another myelin sheath, gap like this. So this gap is called nodes of Ranvier. Whoever discovered, they put it with their name. Okay? Like if I discover something, I will call it nodes of Natalie. Okay, like that. Okay, now you know the names of everything here. Let's discuss the function. So for the nerve signals or the nerve impulses, the electricity or the nerve signals, impulses, they go in this direction. And then they will reach here, they will jump to the next nerve cell. And then to the next nerve cell and so on. Okay? So like you can see here, this is the dendrite of one nerve cell and this is the axon terminal of another nerve cell. Again, like you can see here, there is a gap. So they are not touching. Also there is some space. This is where the chemical reactions between the cells happen. So it means that the nervous system is not only about signals or impulses, there is chemistry also happening. Same as when you are breathing. It's not only air going inside, muscles of the ribs contracting, diaphragm relaxing, whatever. No, there is oxygen going inside and carbon dioxide going out. You are exhaling carbon dioxide. There is chemistry. So in all your body, it's not only biology, there is also chemistry. Okay? Where exactly the chemistry between the nerve cells happen? In this area. This area is called synapse. So what is the synapse? It's the area where the chemical reactions between the nerve cell happens. It's where exactly it's between the axon terminal of one nerve cell and the dendrite of another nerve cell. Okay? So we said that the nerve signals, they jump from where to where? They go from the dendrites to the cell body, to the axon, to the axon terminal, to the next dendrite, to the next cell body, to the axon terminal. So it means if I say what's the function of the dendrite, it will be carrying the impulses towards the cell body. If I say what's the function of the axon, it will be carrying the impulses away from the cell body. Like we said, the nerve impulses, they go in this direction and then to the next nerve cell, and then to the next nerve cell. So they go from the dendrite to the cell body, to the axon terminal, they jump to the next dendrite, cell body, and so on. Okay? So if I say what's the function of the myelin sheath, it will be protection for the axon. The function of the neurolemma, these black parts, it will be protection for the myelin sheath. Right?
Yes.
Again, I have axon. Around the axon, I have this white part, and I have then the black part. So the white part is protecting axon. The black part is protecting myelin sheath. Okay? What about the nodes of Ranvier? What's the function? Why it's not only one block of myelin sheath and that's it? Why there is myelin sheath and there is gap between each and every myelin sheath? So that the nerve signal transmission will be faster. What does it mean? It will jump from one myelin sheath to the other. Jump. What does it mean? So if I want to come from here to you, I will take how many steps to reach you? 3 steps, right? And then I will reach you. But if I jump, I will reach only in one jump to you. Okay, so it's the same idea. We have these gaps between the myelin sheath to make the nerve signal transmission faster. The signals will jump from every myelin sheath, they will jump. So the nerve signals will be faster. Okay? So any questions? If I tell you what is the structure that carries the nerve impulses towards the cell body, I will give you 4 options. Axon, axon terminal, dendrite, and nucleus. Dendrite, okay? If I tell you what is the gap that is found between the dendrite of one nerve cell and the axon terminal of another cell? Synapse. This one. Nodes of Ranvier, if I tell you this gap, okay? This is a gap and this is another gap. Okay, what's the protection of the myelin sheath? Neurolemma, exactly, yes. Okay, any questions so far? So far we spoke about what's the nervous system. We said that we have 2 main divisions for the nervous system, central and peripheral. Then we started speaking about the structure of the nervous system. It's made of 2 things, neurons or nerve cells and neuroglia, something that supports our nerve cells. Okay? Then we started speaking in details about how the nerve cell under the microscope looks like and every part of the nerve cell. Okay, any questions? It's difficult? No? Okay. Next, page 110, it's written here, collective function. So this is the 2 things that I told you before in the beginning of the lecture. I have some nerves, they are called motor nerves. Motor nerves, it means it's going to something to activate it. Motor, movement. So it goes to a muscle to activate it to contract. It goes to a gland to activate it to secrete a hormone. Okay? So it means the motor nerves, the nerves go out of the brain to an organ, to a muscle or a gland. The other nerve we have is the sensory. Sensory, we said, they collect themselves to go to the brain to be translated. Sensory, sensation. Okay? When you are passing by a bakery, you are smelling something, you are like, right? Here you have some cells, smelling cells. They will be activated when you smell something. They will send the nerve impulse to the brain, and now you know this is a cookies being baked. This is perfume. Okay, now you can understand and differentiate. The third and the last type of nerves are mixed. Mixed nerve, it means they carry both sensory and motor. Like what? Like the tongue. The tongue is a muscle. It has a nerve that goes out of the brain, and it goes to your tongue, and now you can move your tongue, right? It's a muscle. At the same time, your tongue is used for tasting. So you have the taste buds. They take sensory nerve to the brain, and now you can taste and understand what you're tasting. Okay, so we have 3 types of nerves: sensory or afferent, the medical name is afferent, motor or efferent, and mixed. The last 2 blue points you will find in the collective function, it's written white matter and gray matter. What is white matter and gray matter? So if I take the spinal cord or the brain and I will cut it like this, I'll cut it in a transverse section, okay, horizontally. And then I will take the spinal cord, I will look. It will look like this. It will have gray matter from the inside that looks like an H shape, and it will have white matter from the outside, white. How did this color come from? Why it's gray and white? So if we go more zoom in, we will find that all the collection of the cell bodies are inside. This part is all inside. And all the myelin sheath with the axon terminal, it's outside. So it means that the nerve cells, they don't need to be in this sequence. They can be just collected in one part for the nerve cell body, and for the branches or the fibers, axon, it can be going out. It doesn't need to be in a straight line, okay? So again, the collection of the cell bodies in the middle, it gave the gray color or dark color. And the collection of the myelin sheath, because the myelin, it's white. So it gave the white color on the outside, okay? For the brain, it's the opposite. If you take part of the brain, you will find gray matter on the outside and white matter on the inside. Just remember the spinal cord. It's easier to remember H shape from the middle, black, and then the brain will be the opposite. Okay, now you understand it's not out of anywhere. Everything has a reason. So for the gray matter, because of the cell bodies and the nucleus, it's darker in color. So it gave H shape, gray, dark color. For the myelin sheath, because it's white, it's going out, then that's why it gave the white color on the outside. Okay? Okay. Next we have what is a nerve impulse. So like we agreed, everything also in our body is not only biology, it has a part chemistry. So as we said, for our respiratory system, we have oxygen and carbon dioxide. That's the chemistry in the respiratory system. For your nervous system, you have other components. It's not oxygen and carbon dioxide, okay? So let's check now how the nerve impulse is affected by chemistry. Like we said here, that the nerve signals, they go from the axon terminal of one nerve cell, they jump to the next cell body, and then to the axon terminal, to the next cell body, axon terminal, whatever, okay? So now I will just take zoom in to this part. Okay, how exactly the impulses, they go in the cell body. Okay? What are the 2 components here? It's not oxygen and carbon dioxide. It's sodium. Sodium is Na, and potassium. Potassium is K. Okay? Oxygen is O. Carbon dioxide is CO2. Okay? Okay. So let's take zoom in here. When your nerves are resting, when you are in the resting state, there is no nerve impulses coming and going, no muscle contraction, you are not getting dressed, you are not smelling something, just your nerves are resting, okay? For the sodium, it will be more outside the cell body. And for the potassium, it will be inside, okay? This is when you are resting. When there will be starting any nerve impulse, so this is what? Resting, we said. When nerve impulses will start, something called depolarization will happen. What is depolarization? The sodium will go more inside the cells, okay? And potassium will be outside. This is called depolarization. When sodium goes in the cell, it means now there is impulses, signals in your nerves. The nerves now are giving each other signals so that it will reach to the last nerve, okay? Of course, not all the time your nerve cells, they have impulses inside them. They need to return back to their resting state again, right? Even in the morning, when you get dressed, you feel something now on you, then by the day you accommodate. You don't feel you are wearing something. Same when you are wearing a watch, and yes, in the beginning you feel you are putting something on your arm, but then you accommodate, you will not feel it. So always your nerves, they need to return back to their resting state. They cannot work all the time. So when they will return back to the resting state, what will happen is called repolarization. So repolarization, it means sodium needs to return back to its original place, which is outside of the cells. Now it means there is no impulses in your nerve cells, okay? I don't want you to know more deeper than this. Of course, there is a lot of other details. There is something called sodium-potassium pump. There is a lot of other details. I don't want you to know anything. I just want you to know when there is nerve impulses, sodium is more inside your cells. When you are resting, sodium is more outside of your nerve cells. Okay, that's it. And I want you to know the names. Depolarization, it means there are impulses, signals in your nerves. Repolarization, it means I'm returning back to my resting. Resting, it means sodium is outside. As you know, sodium is positive. Okay? So when we are resting, it means outside of my cells is more positively charged. But when we are having signals or impulses, the sodium will go in. So it means inside of my cells will be more positively charged. Okay? That's it. I don't want you to know any details. This part is very deep, so I don't want you to know any other thing. That's it. So now if I tell you, during resting membrane potential, the outside of the cell is more positive. True or false?
True.
True. We said during resting, outside of the cell has more sodium, and sodium is carrying more positive charge, so it means outside of my cell will be positively charged. Okay?
And it's resting, it's called
Resting, returning to the resting, the state to return to the resting is called repolarization. Okay? Any questions for this part? In this part, we spoke about motor or afferent or efferent nerves, sensory or afferent nerves, mixed nerve, gray matter, white matter, and nerve impulse. Any questions for this page? No questions? Okay. Next, page 111, we have now here, we will start the division of the nervous system that we spoke about in the beginning of the class. So all this part was very deep details. Nerve cells, something you don't see it with your eyes, you only see it with microscope. Now we will start speaking more general. What is the other name of the nerve cells?
Neurons.
Neurons. Which part of the nerve cell has the nucleus? Cell body. What
Cell
is-
B means cell body, right?
Cell body, yes.
Cell B.
What is the last part in your nerve cells?
Axon terminal.
Axon terminal. Yes.
Axon ist jetzt Russian.
Axon terminal. Okay, page 111, we have the central nervous system. We said central nervous system is made of what?
Brain
And?
and spinal.
And spinal cord, everything in the middle. So now I will just draw for you a side view for the brain and the spinal cord, something from the side. So if you look from up, as you know, the brain has two hemispheres, two sides, right and left. But now I will draw it just from the side. So the first and the biggest part of the brain is called cerebrum. The second part here at the back of the brain, this part is called cerebellum. Till here is the brain. From this part, the spinal cord starts. Like you can see here, I have all this big part. All this together, it's called brain stem. But each part alone has a name. This first part is called midbrain. The second part is called pons. And the last part is called medulla oblongata. So let's take one by one, and we want to know this part, what's the function, and all the other parts, what are the function of each part of the brain in details. So let's start with the brain in general. The brain is what? The brain is the structure that develops in your skull. So it means the skull bone is protecting your brain. Okay? The bone itself is protecting your brain. So for the brain, this structure or organ, it stops developing when you're at the age of 15. So it means it doesn't change anymore. Yeah, maybe your recognition, your reasoning, all these kind of things, yes, they develop. That's why now if you check what you were taking at school, it's like, I was like struggling to study these stupid things. No, okay? Next, it's the cerebrum. So just for the brain, we said general information, it's the structure that develops in your skull, and we said that it stops developing where you are at the age of 15. Let's start the first part, cerebrum. Cerebrum is the largest part in your brain, and like we said, it's two hemispheres, right and left. Like we said, remember we said that in the spinal cord, the gray matter is inside and the white matter is outside. For the brain, it's the opposite. Gray matter is outside, white matter is inside. So for the cerebrum, we have three functions. The first function is the voluntary movement. What does it mean, voluntary movement? Movement that you control. When you want to walk, you can stop yourself. When you want to drink or hold this book, I can stop myself. Right? So this is called voluntary movement. It means the nerves of these muscles, they go out of the cerebrum to go to the muscle to stimulate it to contract. Okay? The second function is the sensation. So anything for sensation, it goes to the cerebrum to be translated. So not any part of the brain, it's only the cerebrum. The last function is the memory, intelligence, and reasoning. So for memory, intelligence, and reasoning, it's function of cerebrum. The second part of the brain is the cerebellum. This part. This is called the small brain. Again, this part has three functions. The first function is the coordination of movement. So remember in the cerebrum we said voluntary movement. Voluntary, it means movement I'm controlling. But here we are saying coordination of movement. What does it mean, coordination? The movement, when I'm doing it, it's very targeted. I know what I'm doing. So when I want to go hold this, I'm very targeted. I know what I'm doing. I'm holding it, bringing it closer to my mouth, drinking. I'm very targeted. I will not go do it in a clumsy way, hit everything around me. Okay? So this is function of cerebellum. The second function is the balance. What gives you balance is the cerebellum. That's why people that get tumors in cerebellum, or even people that drink and get drunk, then when you get drunk, you will walk in a clumsy way. What is being affected? It's the cerebellum. Okay, that's why the balance is not proper. The last function is the muscle tone and posture. Muscle tone, what does it mean, muscle tone? The tone of the muscle. So if I resist my arm, I have muscle tone, right? I can resist. But some people that have problems in the cerebellum, if you resist their movement, you will see it's like this. They don't have tone. Weak, exactly. And posture. What is posture? What makes you stand in a good posture or sit in a good posture? It's function of the cerebellum. You feel cold?
Little bit.
Makes the movement targeted, balance, and muscle tone and posture. Okay? So again, person that has cerebellum injuries or accidents or anything, they walk, remember, in a clumsy way. They don't have balance. Even if they want to hold something, they will have tremors. They will hit everything around them. Okay? The third part in the brain, here we have a small structure in the cerebrum. This small structure is called hypothalamus. What is hypothalamus? This is a very important structure deep inside your cerebrum, and this structure, it works with your endocrine system. It works with a gland in your brain called pituitary gland. Very important gland in your body. So what is the function of the hypothalamus? First of all, it controls your body temperature. So when you feel cold or hot, this is function of your hypothalamus. The second function is balancing the water in your body. So it means hypothalamus, it's also working with your kidney and to balance the water in your body. The third function is the metabolism, burning. That's why sometimes people, when they are doing diet, they are not losing weight, they will go check two things. Either thyroid gland, maybe it's hyperthyroidism or hypothyroidism, and it's not burning, they have a hormonal problem, or it's the pituitary gland. That's why they are not burning calories. They are eating less, but they are gaining weight. Okay? The last function of the hypothalamus is that it's the center of drives. What drives we have in our body? The appetite, the feeling of hunger, this is a drive. The sex, the pain, all this is center of drives. Okay? Next we have the brain stem. We said that all this part together is called brain stem, but each of them alone has a name, and each of them alone has a function. So the first part of the brain stem is the midbrain. Midbrain is this part. So for midbrain, it's like a relay station. What does it mean, relay station? Transit. You know, when you want to go from here to a far country, then you will do transit in a country and then you will continue. It's the same idea. So for the midbrain, it's transmitting signals or impulses between the spinal cord, cerebrum, and cerebellum. So it means the nerves, before they reach the cerebrum or cerebellum, they are passing by the midbrain. Same for the pons. It's also like a transit or a relay station. It's transmitting signals between spinal cord and cerebrum only. So it's not transmitting any signals to the cerebellum, it's only to the cerebrum. Okay? The last part is the medulla oblongata. This is one of the most important parts in your brain. It's called the vital center. What does it mean, vital center? Without medulla oblongata, a person cannot live. Why? Vital center. You
Breathing.
will find. Yes, exactly. You will find this page 112 on the right side. It controls 4 main centers in your body. It controls the cardiac center for the heart and force of the contraction of the heart. It controls the respiratory center for the rate and the depth of your breathing. It controls the vasomotor center. Vasomotor center is something related to your blood vessels, to your arteries and veins to dilate and constrict. And the last thing, it controls all the reflexes of your body. What reflexes we have in our body? Vomiting, coughing, sneezing, swallowing. This is a reflex. It works automatically. You cannot control it. Okay? So here we took 2 things. We took center of drives, which was function of the hypothalamus. Center of drives, we said this is the same for appetite, sex, and pain. And we took in the medulla oblongata vital center that controls reflexes. Reflex is like what? Vomiting, coughing, sneezing, swallowing. Okay? So you have 2 things different. This one is center for drives, and this one is center for reflex. Okay? So if I ask you a question and I tell you which part of the brain is responsible for coordination of movement? Coordination of movement. Cerebellum. This part. Which part of the brain is responsible for memory?
The cerebrum.
Cerebrum, yes. Which part of the brain works with your pituitary gland? Hypothalamus. This part.
How it?
Hypothalamus.
Yes. No, this gland. How it calls?
Pituitary. Pituitary. Okay. Which part of the brain stem is called vital center? Medulla oblongata, yes. So if I ask you here a question and I tell you, tell me the location of pons. How you will tell me?
In the brainstem.
It's in the brainstem. The exact location, if I tell you, you will tell me below the midbrain, above the medulla, right? If I tell you what's the location of the midbrain, then it will be above the pons, in front of the cerebellum, right? So if I ask you what structure is found between the midbrain and medulla? Pons. Okay, great. Now for the spinal cord is the structure that is extended from the medulla oblongata till the level 1 of your low backbone. So the lower first backbone, this is the end of your spinal cord. So from the medulla till the level 1 of the low backbone. So for the spinal cord, it has 31 pair of spinal nerve. Remember in the beginning, the first picture in your system. Like you can see, you have in the middle the spinal cord, and you have 31 fibers going out of the spinal cord. And pair. Why pair? Because I have right side of the body and left side of the body. So it needs to go to the both sides.
These pairs are also peripheral, right?
Yes, those are peripheral. Yes. So the spinal cord, it's central nervous system, but the 31 nerves are peripheral nervous system. So the function of the spinal cord, just logically, it will be, it carries impulses to and from the body and brain. This is what you have in the middle. So it's connecting the brain with the whole body. Okay? Like we said, same when you want to protect your phone, your organs also have protection. So for your central nervous system, they have a protection. It's called meninges. So for your meninges, what protects your central nervous system, brain and spinal cord? It's 3 layers. They are called DAP. So from outside to inside, it's DAP. Dura, arachnoid, and pia. So if I tell you the layers of the meninges from inside to outside, it will be pia, arachnoid, dura. If I tell you from outside to inside, it will be dura, arachnoid, pia. So the last batch, they got a question in the exam. It was the layer of the meninges that protect the central nervous system from inside to outside. So it was pia, arachnoid, dura.
From inside to outside.
So it means pia is more close to the brain tissue itself or to the central nervous system itself, but for the dura it's more close to your skull bone. Because we said the skull protects the brain, right? So the outer layer will be more closer to the bone itself, the most inner layer will be closer to the brain itself. Okay? Okay, so for our brain, from inside it has spaces, it has chambers or rooms. It has 4 rooms, 2 lateral or on the side, 1 inside, and 1 much more deep. So 4 rooms or 4 chambers. The names of the chambers are ventricles. Why we have rooms or chambers in the brain? Why we need these spaces in the brain? Because first of all, your brain doesn't have inside it lymphatic supply. What does it mean, lymphatic supply? Something to carry nutrition or the waste away from your brain. That's why the nutrition, the food to the brain, and the wastes away from the brain, it's carried by these ventricles, these rooms. These rooms, they have a specific fluid. It's called CSF, cerebrospinal fluid. So this cerebrospinal fluid is just a clear, colorless material inside, and mainly it's made of protein. It protects the brain. Also, it cushions the brain. What does it mean? If I don't have these spaces and this fluid, when you are doing like this, your brain inside your skull is moving and it's hitting the skull. But because it's cushioned, nothing is happening to you. But if someone is getting a direct blow to the brain or an accident and they hit the head, they have concussion, then that's a big problem. But when we are moving, because the brain is cushioned and it's protected, nothing is happening. If there is no rooms, spaces inside it to make it lighter, and this fluid also to make it lighter, then the brain will be injured by any small movement. Okay, that's why we have these spaces and fluid. Okay, same as when you are holding a bag, you will put stones in the bag, then the bag will be very heavy. But if you remove the stones from the bag, then the bag will be just light, right? Same for the brain. That's why it's empty spaces from inside, just to make it protected, cushioned, and also, like we said, because the brain needs something to take the nutrition to it and carry away the wastes from it. Okay, sometimes you will see in babies, if this CSF increased too much in the brain, you will see the head is getting bigger, right? You can see this in children. It's called hydrocephalus. They have extra fluid in the brain. Okay? Any questions for the parts of the central nervous system, the meninges and the ventricles?
So this CSF, it's this cerebrospinal fluid, yeah?
Yes.
to protect the brain.
Yes.
And nutrients.
To carry food and take away wastes.
It goes for food.
Okay, any questions? So we are done with the
Four
central
rooms.
nervous system.
Yes.
4 rooms, 4 chambers. They are called ventricles. What is the structure that protects the brain?
Do
General.
DIP?
General, what's the
Depth.
name?
Depth.
Meninges, not layers. I said the structure itself. Meninges. What is the structure that fills the ventricles of the brain? Cerebrospinal fluid. How many spinal nerves does the spinal cord have? 31. 31 pair of spinal nerves. Any questions? Do you guys have to leave?
No.
It's okay, we can continue. Peripheral nervous system. Okay. Page 114, we have the peripheral nervous system. So now we are done with the central nervous system, which was the first division of the nervous system. For the peripheral nervous system, I have 2 divisions. I have 12 cranial nerves. It means those are the nerves or the fibers that come out of the cranium, the brain. And I have the 31 spinal nerves. So let's start with the 12 cranial nerves. We will not learn the 12 nerve, we will only learn 3 of them. Okay? Nerve number 5 is called trigeminal nerve. So we didn't learn nerve number 1, 2, 3, 4. We started directly from the 5th. Trigeminal, from the name, it's a 3-branch nerve. Trigeminal. So if you check this nerve, you will see that this nerve comes from here. It will be divided. One will go to the forehead, one will go with the cheek area, and the other one will go with the jaw area. Okay? The one that will go up with the forehead is called ophthalmic nerve. The one that will go with the cheek, it's called maxillary nerve. And the one that will go with the jaw, it's called mandibular nerve. Mandible or jaw. So for the ophthalmic, it's only a sensory nerve. So it carries only sensation to this part. When you are touching, okay? This is the nerve that goes to the brain, and now you can understand where exactly you're being touched, okay? For the maxillary, it's also sensory for all this area. For the mandibular, it's sensory and motor. So it means there is sensation, it carries sensation for this part, and at the same time, this nerve goes to a muscle to stimulate it to contract. So let's start with the ophthalmic, sensory. I have a nerve here. Where exactly it will give sensation? Forehead, eyebrows, upper eyelid, okay? Scalp. All this area will carry sensation from ophthalmic nerve. The second nerve, it's here, maxillary. So it will carry sensation to where? Cheeks, nose, upper gum, upper teeth. So usually when you have any problem in your upper teeth, they give you anesthesia in the maxillary nerve so that you will not feel. When they will do root canal or they will remove or anything, they are giving you anesthesia in this nerve because this nerve is giving the sensation to the upper teeth. Even now, sometimes fillers, right? People, they don't want only with numbing cream, then they will do for the maxillary and mandibular nerves, for the upper lip and for the lower lip. They will not feel the whole area, okay? Then for the mandibular, the nerve will supply the lower jaw, lower gum, lower teeth, lower lip, the tongue. All this will be carrying sensation with the mandibular nerve. What about the motor part? The motor nerve goes to the muscles of mastication, muscles of chewing, your masseter muscle, your buccinator muscle. All these muscles, they are activated to contract with the mandibular nerve. Okay? The second nerve we will learn is nerve number 7. So we learned 5, now 7. 7 is called facial nerve. For the facial nerve, it's sensory and motor. The sensory part of the facial nerve, it carries sensation for tasting in the front part of the tongue. So your tongue, the front part, if you touch with a lollipop, you will taste, right? If you just put the salt only in the front part, you will taste. You don't need to cover the whole tongue. The anterior or front part of your tongue carries tasting by the facial nerve. What about the motor? The motor carries the muscles of facial expression. So all the muscles that are related to the facial expressions, they take their nerve supply to be activated from the facial nerve. That's why you'll see people with facial nerve paralysis, they don't have the facial expressions. You will see a lot of tearing in the eyes all the time. The lip is like this. It's down. They cannot smile. They cannot do this. All the cheek muscles are paralyzed. Okay? They cannot close the eye completely. If they close the eye, small part will be open, even when they are sleeping. Okay? So the facial nerve, again, it's sensory and motor. Sensation for the front part of the tongue for tasting, and the motor for the muscles of facial expression. That's why they always tell you if it's cold or if you are on a bike, you need to cover your face. Because this facial nerve can be paralyzed from the cold weathers also. It can also be affected by your mood. If you are depressed, it can be affected. Okay? The last cranial nerve we will learn, it's nerve number 11. It's called accessory nerve. For the accessory nerve, the division is different. It's not sensory and motor part. It's divided to cranial part coming from the brain, and spinal part coming from the spinal cord. So the part of the accessory nerve that comes from the brain, it will supply two muscles of respiration. It will give the larynx and pharynx. Remember, in the respiratory system. Two muscles, two organs, that are related to your respiration. You will get to learn them for whoever didn't take it. For the spinal part of the accessory nerve, it goes to two muscles. It goes to this muscle that is responsible for your head rotation. You will see even the tendon of the muscle comes out when you rotate your head. Okay, it's activated by the spinal part of the accessory, and it goes to another muscle which we usually get tension in. It's called trapezius, trap. So trapezius and sternocleidomastoid. These two muscles, they take the nerve supply from the spinal part of the accessory nerve. Okay? Okay, next for the spinal nerves. So for the spinal nerves, we said it's 31 pair. Even for the cranial nerves, it's pair. because I have part that will go to this side of the face and this side. Okay? For the spinal nerves, they are divided into 8, 12, 5, 5, 1. What is this division? I have from the 31 spinal nerves, 8 in the neck region, it's called cervical, 12 in the upper back, it's called thoracic, 5 in the low back, it's called lumbar, 5 in the last part with your pelvis here, it's called sacral, and 1 in the tail part, it's called coccygeal. So for the spinal nerves, they have the same name of your skeletal bones. Remember, of your vertebral column. Your bones also, they were divided, but they were 33 vertebral bones. So it was divided to 7, 12, 5, 5, 4. In the skeletal system, you will get to know it, okay? So here for the spinal nerves, we said this is the division. 8 in the neck, 12 in the upper back, 5 in the low back, 5 in the last part, and 1 in the tail part. So what happens for these spinal nerves? I will tell you. Now, we said I have 8 in the neck, right? 4 from them, from this 8, 4 of them, they will collect each other. They will form a main nerve. A main nerve is called plexus. And this main nerve will go to supply an area or a muscle or a region. What does it mean? For example, I have 4 from the cervical spinal nerves. They will make a plexus. It's called cervical plexus. Okay? And it will supply the neck muscles. I have 5 lumbar. 3 from this lumbar, they will make a main nerve called, for example, lumbar plexus, and it will go to supply the six-pack muscle. Okay? So again, I have 31 spinal nerves. We said this is the division. But as we said, some of the nerves, they collect each other, they make a main nerve, and they go to supply area or a region or an organ or a muscle. Okay? So they collect each other, they make a big nerve, they collect each other, they make a big nerve, and they go to supply somewhere. Okay? It's not important for you to know the exact division, how many from the cervical will make this nerve or how many from the sacral will make this nerve. It's not important. I just want you to know the name of the plexus and what it supplies. That's it. So for the first plexus, it's called cervical plexus. It supplies the neck and shoulder muscles. So put a line under cervical plexus, supplies the neck and shoulder muscles. The second plexus is called brachial plexus. We are page 114. Brachial plexus supplies the base of the neck till the fingertips. So all this area is supplied by the brachial plexus. The third is called thoracic plexus. It supplies the chest and the main abdominal muscles. The fourth plexus is called lumbar plexus. It supplies the lower abdomen, the thighs, and the groin. Groin is the inner thigh. So lower abdomen, thigh, groin, supplied by the lumbar plexus. Last but not least, it's the sacral plexus. For the sacral plexus, it supplies the skin of the pelvis. So all this area is supplied by the sacral plexus. The last one is called coccygeal plexus. Coccygeal plexus supplies all our external genital organs. Like for men, the scrotum, it supplies the penis, it supplies the testes, and for women, it supplies the vagina and the vulva or the labia. And also it supplies, both in men and women, the external sphincter. External sphincter is the structure that you can squeeze it during urination, or if you want to hold yourself and like toilet is not available or something. Okay? So this is supplied by the coccygeal plexus. Again, external genital organs, anything that is external. For women, it's only 2 organs, vagina and vulva. Okay? And the external sphincter for urination. So here in the cervical plexus, we have one branch alone, one nerve alone, called phrenic nerve. It supplies the diaphragm. Remember the diaphragm, this muscle here that separates your chest from your abdomen, the muscles of breathing, and it's muscle for all the expulsive actions in your body, for urination, defecation, and even baby delivery. It's having a nerve supply alone. It's coming from the cervical plexus, but it's a nerve alone, phrenic nerve. And you have another nerve in the sacral plexus, you will find it. It's called sciatic nerve. This is the nerve that supplies here, your hamstring, the back of the thigh. You know, sometimes when you get pain here in the back and it's radiating till your fingers, this is the sciatic nerve. Because the course, yes, sciatic nerve. You will find it, sacral plexus, page 115, sacral plexus up on the right side. Yes. You will find it in the 4th line. Sciatic nerve supplies the hamstring. 4th line. Okay? So again, I have 2 nerves alone. One is called phrenic nerve. It's coming from the cervical plexus for the diaphragm. And the other nerve is the sciatic nerve coming from the sacral plexus. Okay, cervical plexus, you will find it page 114 on the right side down. Cervical plexus, it has a branch called phrenic nerve in the 3rd line. 3rd line in the cervical plexus.
Phrenic nerve.
Yes, it supplies the diaphragm. You need a pen? You need a pen?
I
Or
think
pencil?
so.
Okay, so again, I have spinal nerves 31. The division is 812, 551. But as we said, this spinal nerves, they don't go directly to any place. They need to collect themselves because they are too much, they are many. They will collect themselves, they will make a main nerve, and then they will go to the place they want to go to. Okay? And like we said, we have 6 plexuses or 6 main nerves, and 2 of them has a nerve alone. Like what? Like the phrenic and sciatic. Don't forget these 2. Any questions for the peripheral nervous system? So if I tell you what nerve supplies the muscles of mastication, it will be what?
Mastication.
Chewing.
Chewing.
Mandibular. Always do like this, you will forget. Remember which 2 nerves they had motor. It's only this and this. So you don't have any other options. Okay? So it will be either mandibular or facial nerve. Because in the exam you will have 4 choices. So at least if you have 4 choices, cancel whatever you are sure it's not that one, and then 2 answers will be left. Muscles for chewing or mastication, it's mandibular. Mandible, jaw, you are chewing here, okay? Muscles of facial expression or emotions, it's the facial nerve, facial expression, facial nerve, okay? Okay, how many spinal nerves is found in the lumbar area? 5. Okay. Sciatic nerve is a nerve from which plexus?
Sciatic. It's cervical.
Sacrum.
Oh no.
Sacral.
Sacrum.
Sacral.
Yes,
SS.
sacrum.
Sciatic sacral. Okay? Which muscle does the sciatic nerve supply? Hamstring. Back of the thigh. Hamstring. Which plexus supplies the base of the neck till the fingertips? Second one. Base of the neck till the finger. Brachial plexus. Which nerve supplies the lower abdomen, the thigh, and the groin? Lumbar, yes.
Lumbar.
Okay, any questions? Thirty-one spinal nerves. For the peripheral nervous system, we have another division, but it's only motor. So it means it's only muscles, right? There is no sensory for this one. I have two divisions for the peripheral nervous system, the motor one. One is called somatic nervous system, and the other one is called autonomic nervous system. We said this is motor, so it's related to muscles. For the somatic nervous system, these nerves, they go out of your central nervous system, either brain or spinal cord, to a voluntary muscle. Voluntary muscle. So these nerves, they go out of your brain or spinal cord, they go to a voluntary muscle that you can control, like biceps, abdominal muscle, leg muscle, foot muscle, any muscles of this body, skeletal muscles, you can control them. Okay? Done. We don't want to know anything else about somatic nervous system. What about autonomic? For this system, its nerves, they go out from the central nervous system, which is the brain and spinal cord, to involuntary muscles. What muscles we have in our body involuntary that we cannot control? The heart muscles, right? We don't tell the heart to pump blood. The respiratory muscles, we don't tell the lungs to contract. The digestive muscles, we cannot tell the stomach to start digestion. Same for the urinary muscles, we are not telling the bladder to start emptying the urine. So all these muscles are involuntary. But for the autonomic nervous system, we have two divisions. Why we have two divisions? So for the autonomic nervous system, I have a division, it's called sympathetic nervous system, and another system that is called parasympathetic nervous system. Why here we didn't have division and here we have a division? Why it's not just involuntary muscles and that's it? Because for your involuntary muscles, your heart, your lungs, your digestion, your urination, they don't react the same way all the time. What does it mean? So I have a system that works when your body is under stress. And I have another system that works when you are resting or relaxed. Why? Because when I'm stressed, when I'm in a fight or flight mode, if I am fighting with someone, then what happens with my involuntary muscles? My heart rate increases, my respiratory rate increases, my blood sugar levels, they increase, right? But the blood vessels that go to my digestive and urinary organs, they constrict. Not too much blood goes to your digestion and urination when you are stressed. It's not that when I'm fighting with you, I cannot tell you 1 minute I will go urinate and come back and we can continue fighting, right? It's not possible. My body is only ready for the stressful situation. The opposite happens when you are resting. When you are resting, the parasympathetic system works. What happens when you just at home had lunch 2 hours, you are hungry again, right? Why? For the parasympathetic nervous system, when you are resting, your heart rate is constant, right? Doesn't increase. Your respiratory rate, it's also regular. Your blood sugar levels are regular. But the blood vessels that go to your digestive and urinary organs, they dilate. That's why you feel more urge to urinate or eat when you are just resting and bored. That's why for the autonomic nervous system we had 2 divisions, but for the somatic nervous system I don't need 2 divisions because my muscles all the time they react the same, contract, relax, that's it. If I'm exercising, walking, holding something, carrying the bag, my muscle is contracting. I will leave the bag, my muscle will relax, right? But for the autonomic nervous system, your involuntary muscles, they don't react the same way always. When you are stressed, different thing happens with your involuntary muscles. When you are resting, other things are happening with your involuntary muscles. So for the sympathetic nervous system, when you are stressed, 2 hormones are being released. One is called acetylcholine and the other one is called noradrenaline. But when you are resting, only one hormone is being released. It's the acetylcholine. Okay, now you understand why here you have 2 divisions, here you don't have division. Okay? Any questions? Just put a line here under the sympathetic nervous system. Put a line under the 2 hormones, acetylcholine and noradrenaline. And for the next page, the parasympathetic nervous system, just put a line under the acetylcholine, page 116. Okay? So page 115, we put a line here. And 116, we're putting a line here. Okay. The last thing before the disease and disorders is something called reflex. What is a reflex? Reflex is an automatic protective action. It's done in this way to protect you. How? So of course when now you are touching something, for example, smooth or whatever, and you close your eyes, you will touch, you will think, what is this? This is smooth, this is rough, right? So this type of sensation, it goes to the brain to be translated. But for the reflexes, if they go to the brain to be translated, it will take too much time. You will already injure yourself. How? Now when I touch something hot, what do? You pull your arm directly. Or if you touch something sharp, you will pull your arm directly. So this kind of reflexes, it doesn't go till the brain so that you will take the action. No, it goes only to the level of your spinal cord, and the spinal cord answers with a nerve and you will contract the muscle to pull it directly. It will not go to the brain and you will think of the action. Okay? So what happens? I have in my fingers cells that detect touching. It's called touch receptors. These cells, they will send a sensory nerve to the level of the spinal cord, as we said, and the spinal cord will answer with a motor nerve that will go to your biceps muscle or whatever muscle it will be, so that you can do the protective action, which is the pulling of the arm. Pulling arm. Okay, so again, what are the structures included in a reflex? Touch receptors or sensory organs. Then you have the sensory nerve, you have the spinal cord, motor nerve, and the protective action or protective organ. This is the same when you go for a checkup the doctor will do something for you called tendon reflex. You will sit like this, they will hit you with a hammer, right? And you will do this movement. What is this? It's the same thing. Just in your tendon here in your knee, or whatever reflex he will check. You can check it from here, you can check it from here, a lot of other places. So the tendon inside it, we don't have touch receptors, we have something else. It's called Golgi organs. It's not important for you to know. When this Golgi organ, he will hit it with a hammer, okay? It will be activated. It will send the sensory nerve to the level of my spinal cord. My spinal cord will answer same with the motor nerve. It will go to my quadriceps muscle, and then I will do the protective action, which is this, okay? This way they check reflex. Sometimes they detect disc problems. You know, between your vertebral column, you have discs. Sometimes these discs will be pressing on one of the nerves. They can detect it with this way, with a reflex, okay? Because each nerve carries a specific reflex. Like for example, you have a specific nerve carries this reflex. You have another nerve that goes out of your, between the discs, it goes out of there, and it's responsible for you to walk on the heels. So also this is a kind of reflex, they check it with this kind of nerve, okay? It's not important. Okay, we are done. We will go now for the disease and disorders. If you have any questions before we go to disease, let me know. Any questions? It's easy. Next week we have a quiz. Not easy. Not easy. This is one of the most difficult chapters.
Very
This one and the endocrine
large
system.
of information.
Yes.
Honestly, it's easy to understand, but
Yes, you listen to me, it's easy. When you go home, it's like, where are we? I don't know what we said today. Any questions? No questions? Anything you don't understand?
So far.
Okay. So, which system is responsible to work when we are stressed? Sympathetic nervous system. Which nervous system controls the voluntary muscles? Voluntary. I'm controlling it. Voluntary.
Parasympathetic.
Voluntary.
Voluntary.
This one.
Somatic.
Somatic. How many divisions we have for the peripheral nervous system? 2. We had one division related to cranial nerves and spinal nerves, and we have another division related to motor, somatic and autonomic. Which hormone is being released during stressful situations?
Noradrenaline
And
and acetylcholine.
acetylcholine, yes. True or false, reflexes are controlled by the cerebrum.
No.
By what?
Vertebral.
By spinal
Spinal.
cord.
Cord.
Okay?
Spinal.
Okay, page 117, we have the disease and disorders. So for the disease and disorders, as we know from before, that all disorders, they have the same signs and symptoms. All of the diseases, they will cause pain, they will cause fever, they will cause numbing sensation, I cannot feel my hands, they will cause, everything is the same. How we will differentiate it in an exam? Only with keywords. So whatever I will say, only this one you need to underline. The first disease, neuritis, inflammation of nerve. The second disease, Bell's palsy. It's the infection or injury to the facial nerve. Facial nerve was nerve number what? 5, 7 or 11? 7. Okay? Next you have neuralgia. Neuralgia is the stabbing or burning pain along the course of one or more nerve. Next you have sciatica. Sciatica is pressure on the sciatic nerve. Next we have Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's disease is a progressive disease. It means it doesn't get better, always worse, and it's caused by a damage to a part in the brain called basal ganglia. We didn't learn about it. Just know that it's a damage by in a part of the brain called basal ganglia. Next, we have multiple sclerosis. It's loss in the myelin sheath. Next, we have cerebral palsy. This is a damage to the brain during birth, when they pull the baby during birth from the head. So it will do cerebral palsy. What will happen to the baby? The baby, like for example, if by the age of 1 year old they need to be walking alone, they have late. All the milestones will be late. So they cannot sit in the proper age, they will not be able to stand in the proper age, they will do physio and a lot of things. Okay, next is the motor neuron disease from the name. It's a rare progressive disease. Again, it's rare but progressive. It doesn't get better, always worse. And it's affection in the motor neuron, the nerves related to motor. We took it where? Remember motor
Weakness
nerves?
and wasting muscles.
We took the motor neurons where? Page 110. In the collective function, motor or efferent nerves. They carry impulses from the brain to a muscle or gland. Remember? Okay. Myalgic encephalomyelitis. This is the post-viral fatigue. A person is tired all the time. They feel pain all over the body all the time. They will sleep. They will take vitamins all the time. They have these symptoms. They are dizzy, exhausted. Next is the stress. Myalgic encephalomyelitis. Stress is not important, just of course the stress affects our mental and physical well-being. Next we have the depression. Depression is a bipolar affective disorder. Bipolar, it means sometimes I will feel happy, sometimes I will feel sad. Nothing happened, but I will feel happy and sometimes I will feel sad. Of course, there is also something called seasonal affective disorder related to season. So in winter, we feel more depressed than summer. And of course, this type of disorder, women are affected more than men. Next is the epilepsy. Epilepsy is a central nervous system disorder. A person will lose consciousness, they will faint, and they will have convulsions. Convulsions is the shaking. Next we have migraine. Migraine is a half-sided headache, one-side headache. Stroke. Stroke is the loss of consciousness because of an occlusion to the blood vessel that goes to the brain. So there is a blood supply that goes to the brain, it's stopped, it's closed, okay? So of course less oxygen will reach the brain. Next, stroke. After stroke, you know, people get half-sided body paralysis, right? Okay, next is the transient ischemic attack. This is the mini stroke. You know what is this? This is when, for example, you fail in the exam and you tell your mom and she's like, what happened? And she will lose consciousness. She will go to the hospital, wake up, she's like, what happened? You know this part? Okay.
So one more time.
Just put a line under, it's the mini stroke.
Mini stroke.
And then the last line, short-term symptoms such as temporary vision loss or impairment. Next, you have Alzheimer's disease. This is the most common form of dementia. Usually this comes to older people when they start forgetting. Even sometimes they forget their children, they forget long-term stuff also. Next, you have concussion. Concussion, this is what you see in the movies when they hit on the head of someone. So it's an injury to the brain caused by a blow. Dementia. Dementia is a decline in the cognitive function. Also, this is related to forgetting, but this is just a sign of normal aging. It's not a disease like Alzheimer. Alzheimer, they are forgetting long-term things. They're kids. But for dementia, they are just Forgetting, for example, I put the spoon where even we are forgetting, so it's okay. Next, we have meningitis. It's the inflammation of the meninges. What was the meninges? Protection of the brain and the spinal cord. Okay? Meningitis, it's inflammation in the meninges. So usually this happens after fever. That's why you cannot leave the fever for a long time. It needs to be treated. If a person will not treat fever, they can have meningitis. Then you have myasthenia gravis. This is also a chronic progressive disease, so it doesn't get better. A person has chronic fatigue, they are tired all the time, and muscle weakness, specifically in the face and neck. Next, you have paralysis. Paralysis is the loss of ability to move a body part. So a person can have hemiplegia, which is half-sided body paralysis. They can have paraplegia, only hands or feet. They can have quadriplegia, like arms and legs at the same time. So it depends. Peripheral neuropathy from the name. So it's damage to the nerves of the peripheral nervous system. Sometimes the name of the disease is telling you the explanation. Poliomyelitis, it's an acute viral disease. So it's a virus attacks the nerve cells. So when we were babies or younger, we took the vaccine for polio. You know what's polio? Sometimes you can see people, they have one foot, it's normal, and one leg is normal, the other one is short, and the foot is small. So this is polio. Last but not least, we have spinal cord injury. This is damage to the white matter or the myelin sheath. And the last one is the spina bifida. This is a birth defect to the neural tube. That's why a mother, before wanting a baby, they take folic acid. And even if they are not taking, at least when they know they are pregnant, they are starting to take supplement, which is folic acid. Why? Because this is what's completing the nervous system of the baby, the neural tube. So in this spina bifida, what happens? Of course, when a baby is born, when you carry the baby, the back is closed, right? You can see skin here. These babies, they are born and the skin and the spinal cord and everything is not completely developed and closed. You can see the spinal cord from the back. So of course there is surgery for it, but the babies, they don't continue living. Okay? So next week we will have quiz for the nervous system and we will take the skin and the hair. Okay? We are done for today.